Imagine a hot July day. You reach out to pick that perfect crisp cucumber from your garden, already dreaming of a fresh salad, and then, ugh, it turns out to be unbearably bitter. Sound familiar? This little cucumber tragedy is playing out in thousands of gardens as we speak. Today, we're doing a full July garden checkup. We'll dive into the top 6 reasons why your cucumbers might have suddenly decided to disappoint you. And here's the crucial part. It's not just bad luck. It's often your plant trying to tell you something. Stick around, you won't want to miss this. So, let's get to the root of the problem. What exactly makes a cucumber bitter? That unpleasant taste comes from a special compound called cucurbitacin. Fun fact, in the wild, all cucumbers contain it, and it acts as a defense mechanism against animals. Breeders have spent years working to remove it from cultivated varieties, but sometimes, when plants are under stress, these genes remember their old job, and the plant starts producing it again. The bitterness usually concentrates near the stem end and in the skin. So what makes our cucumbers get so stressed out? Let's start with reason number 1, and this is without a doubt the main culprit. Water stress. Sounds serious, doesn't it? But actually, it's quite simple. It's the surest and quickest path to a bitter harvest. The main mistake many gardeners make is irregular watering. Imagine this scenario. You've had several hot days, and the soil is bone dry. You arrive at the garden, and seeing this sad state, you drench the beds with water. For the plant, this is a real shock. First drought, then a flood. In this situation, the cucumber thinks its days are numbered and immediately activates its survival mode, producing the bitter compound cucurbitacin. It's simply trying to make itself unappetizing so nothing eats it during these tough times. But there's a second important factor. That's the water temperature. Watering cucumbers with icy cold water straight from the well or tap is another significant shock to the plant. A cucumber's root system is very sensitive. Cold water causes the roots to seize up, and they stop absorbing nutrients, even if they are present in the soil. It's like us drinking a glass of ice-cold water on a scorching hot day. Not exactly pleasant. The ideal approach is to use water that's been allowed to stand and warm up in the sun, and it's best to do this early in the morning or in the evening when the heat has subsided. Remember, for cucumbers, consistency and warm water are the secret to a sweet harvest. Okay, let's move on to the second reason. It's closely related to the first one and just as tricky. We're talking about temperature swings. Cucumbers are quite delicate plants. They absolutely love stability. But what typically happens in July? During the day, temperatures can soar to 30 degrees Celsius or even higher, only to drop sharply at night. Picture this. During the day, your cucumber plant is practically baking in the sun. It's sweltering, and it's expending all its energy just trying to cool itself down by evaporating moisture. All its essential processes slow right down, and it goes into a state of stress-induced shutdown. Then night comes, and the temperature plummets to just 10 or 15 degrees. For the cucumber, this feels like an ice bath after a sauna. Another shock, more stress. It's this sudden, dramatic contrast between the scorching heat of the day and the cool of the night that makes the plant panic. It doesn't understand what's happening, so as a precaution, it activates a defense mechanism. It starts producing bitterness. This effect is particularly pronounced in greenhouses where daytime temperatures can reach extreme levels. That's why it's absolutely vital to ventilate greenhouses during the day, encouraging air circulation and preventing excessive heat buildup. Then at night, make sure they're closed securely to retain the warmth. Maintaining a stable, consistent temperature is your second key to a sweet, delicious cucumber harvest. Now, let's move on to the third factor, which many gardeners overlook. This is light, specifically having too much or too little of it. Cucumbers, you could say, have a complicated relationship with the sun. They like it, but only in moderation. Direct, scorching rays of the July midday sun are like a real burn for those delicate cucumber leaves. Imagine the plant sitting under a magnifying glass. The leaves start aggressively evaporating moisture to try and cool down, which can cause them to droop and turn yellow around the edges. This whole process is a massive stress on the entire plant. And how does it respond? That's right, it starts producing bitter cucurbitacin to protect its fruit under these extreme conditions. But the opposite situation isn't any better. If your cucumber vines are growing in deep, constant shade, they simply don't have enough energy to thrive. Photosynthesis, the process that feeds the plant, happens very slowly. This is a different kind of stress. Stress from hunger or light starvation. The plant becomes weak and spindly, and it also triggers its protective reaction. So the ideal spot for cucumbers is somewhere they get morning and evening sun, but light dappled shade during the hottest part of the day. If your garden bed is in full sun, simply providing shade with a special net can work wonders. Now for the fourth item on our list, which we're calling quite simply the starvation diet. That's right, believe it or not, cucumbers, just like us, need a balanced diet. You can give them perfect watering and the ideal temperature, but if the plant literally has nothing to feed on, it will still be under immense stress. Two elements play a crucial role here: nitrogen and potassium. Nitrogen is responsible for vegetative growth, the leaves and stems. If there's a deficiency, the plant will be pale and weak, lacking the energy needed to develop good fruits. But when it comes to the taste of the cucumber, potassium is even more critical. It's responsible for accumulating sugars in the fruit, directly contributing to their sweetness. Potassium is also a major element for boosting the plant's overall immunity and its resilience against various stresses, be it heat waves or drought. When a cucumber is deficient in potassium, it becomes highly vulnerable. Even minor issues feel like major threats. So what does it do? It activates its only defense. It starts producing bitterness. That's why regular, balanced feeding during the fruiting stage is absolutely essential. Simply put, a hungry plant is always a stressed and bitter plant. The fifth reason for bitterness might truly surprise you, because it has nothing to do with how you care for your plants. It's simply in their genetics. Imagine the tendency for bitterness can literally be hardwired into your cucumber's DNA. You see, all modern sweet cucumber varieties are the result of long, painstaking work by plant breeders. They spent years selecting plants that, when under stress, wouldn't produce cucurbitacin, the bitter compound, or would produce it only in minimal amounts. Scientists essentially turned off this ancient gene, which originally served as a defense against pests. However, older, so-called open-pollinated or heirloom varieties, not hybrids, can still carry this genetic memory. You could provide them with absolutely perfect growing conditions, but even the slightest stress, like forgetting to water just once, can trigger the plant. It immediately remembers the programming of its wild ancestors and starts producing bitterness. So, if you've been battling bitter cucumbers year after year, despite your best efforts, take a look at the seeds you're using. Modern hybrids, often marked with an F1 symbol, are typically bred specifically to avoid this problem. This doesn't mean they don't need care, but their stress tolerance is much, much higher. And now, for the sixth reason, arguably the simplest but often the most frustrating: delaying the harvest. We often think, oh, let's just leave that cucumber on the vine a little longer, it'll get bigger. But when it comes to cucumbers, bigger isn't always better. Think of each cucumber on the vine as essentially a potential seed pod. Once a cucumber reaches its full size and is ready for harvesting, the plant gets a signal. Okay, job's done. Time to get those seeds ready for the next generation. And that's when the aging process kicks in. The fruit starts to toughen, the skin gets thicker, and the seeds inside grow larger and harder. And along with these changes, bitterness starts to build up inside. An overripe cucumber is no longer a young, fresh vegetable. It's more like an aging veteran that has completed its biological mission. And in this case, bitterness is a natural marker of its age. The longer you leave a cucumber on the vine after it's ready, the more likely it is to turn bitter. So, the golden rule is simple: harvest them on time. It's much better to pick several young, small but guaranteed sweet cucumbers than to end up with one big, unusable one. Picking regularly not only saves you from bitterness, but also encourages the plant to keep producing more. But here's the biggest revelation in our cucumber story. All those potential reasons, they're just triggers. The real culprit is stress. Bitterness isn't a random quirk or a genetic defect. It's your plant's desperate cry for help. When a cucumber plant feels threatened, perhaps by drought, heat, or lack of nutrients, it perceives an attack. It responds by rapidly increasing the production of cucurbitacin to make itself taste terrible to anything trying to eat it. Your bitter cucumber is essentially a little fighter, trying its best to survive. So, what's the main takeaway? Bitter cucumbers are almost always a signal that the plant is stressed. To avoid this, ensure your plants get consistent watering, ideally with warm water. Provide shade during intense heat. Feed them regularly, and harvest your cucumbers when they are young. Follow these steps and your cucumbers should reward you with their fresh, sweet flavour. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future tips. Now, over to you. Have you dealt with bitter cucumbers this year? Share your experiences and any tips you have for saving your harvest in the comments below.